welcome to the session that you've chosen to do with me today, and it's all about functional movement patterns, and we're going to be looking at 3 key exercises. That's going to be squats, lunges and deadlifts, all amazing exercises to be performing regularly, especially if you're over 50. And we're going to be using some weights, so you've got to choose weights that feel suitable to you, to your level, and of course you can always do these without weights. But there are such brilliant exercises to help build strength, rebuild strength if you feel like you're losing your muscle tone and strength in general, and also for bone building, and especially if we're going a little heavier. So we want to be able to challenge ourselves with the weights. And if you're not used to using weights, start with a really low weight. It's maybe 1, 2, 3 kilos. But if you're used to doing some exercises and you want to improve your form and your technique, then I'm going to help you with that today, because we want to be doing these exercises with the best possible form for the best possible outcome. And then once you get really good at that, you can gradually add more and more load so that you really stimulate muscle growth and bone rebuilding, obviously because we want to be able to stay as strong, capable, healthy, have all the energy and stamina that we need for many more years to come. So that being said, what else are you going to need? You're going to need a chair and a rolled up hand towel, if you can grab one. You might not need to use it, but it's useful to have because it can help us with our ankles, especially if we're not great at this action of the ankle, dorsiflexion. Okay, I'm just showing you with my wrist. And then, like I said, please choose some suitable weights. You're also going to need to stand at a wall for a portion of the work. But before we get going, just a quick little note. I have a video that's available, which is a 10-minute Pilates-informed upper body strength workout. You don't even need to use heavy weights. It's really juicy. You're really going to feel it, and it's going to really help build strength and tone in your upper body, and it's perfect for if you're over 50. And I've got a link, and you can have a look in the description of this video, and you'll see the link, and you can request it, and it will be yours to keep for free. So just a quick note. Before we start our main event, I'd love you to come down onto the floor. If you need a mat, grab a mat, and we're just going to work on the pattern of movement that is in most of the strength exercises that we do, and that is a hinge. So you're going to lie down on your back with your feet flat on the floor. Your heels are roughly underneath your knees. You may know this exercise. We're going to think of a bridge or a hip hinge. And first I want you to put your hands on your ribs. Your rib cage needs to feel heavy on the floor, and then we're going to go to the pelvis, and we're going to make sure that you're not tucking your pelvis under. So if you feel like you're bracing your abdominals, you're going to need to lengthen your tailbone to the bottom edge of your mat, but without dragging your rib cage with you, because your ribs need to be stacked on top of your pelvis. And then you can now, so maybe if you want, you could put one hand across the front of your pelvis and the other hand on your rib cage. Now go to your feet, push your weight into your heels, and we're going to push your hips straight up. And so these 2 points where your hands are, ribs on pelvis, that should be a straight line, albeit it's a diagonal line, but it's still straight. So we haven't left your ribs sticking up to the ceiling. We've got heavy ribs and a pelvis that's lifted. Now where your hand is on your pelvis, you're going to come straight back down. So we hinge, and this is and the hinge is at the hips. Opening a book, closing a book, come straight back down. Or you could think of a door. As your hips go up, you've opened the door, so you've got this lovely long line here at the hips, and then we're going to fold at the hips and come down. And we're going to keep going so we can really understand this hip hinge. And this is the easiest way to teach it while you're lying down on your back and you've got a little feedback from the floor. Feet on the floor, shoulders, upper back on the floor, and in between you need to have this diagonal line that's just going straight up and straight down. Okay, if you don't need your hands anymore for feedback, arms down by your side is perfect. Straight up and straight down. And you should start to feel a little bit of work building up in the back of the legs. So we now need to go to the ankles, because to do good lunges and squats, you need to have good dorsiflexion of your ankles. So you're going to lift your feet up off the floor, not your heels are down. How close to you can you bring your feet? And that's your ankles job. And we do your same bridge, hip hinge up, and we come down, and hip hinge up. And you've still got to watch that your rib cage doesn't flare up to the ceiling. So you keep this rib cage stacked. We take it from flat to the ground, and just because you've lifted doesn't mean that should interrupt what your ribs are doing on top of your pelvis. Okay, now hopefully you're also feeling the back of the legs a bit more, but your ankles. So keep drawing your little toe side of your feet in your direction. For good squats, you need to be able to do this action with your ankles. You'll see that in a minute, how that translates into your squat. And one more. Carry your hips up and lower straight back down. Okay, cool. So when you're ready, you're going to come up, just stretch your legs for a second and take your time coming up. You're going to need to go to a wall, please. Okay, so a good way to start some squats is to, and you don't need your weights yet, so make sure nothing's in your way. You're going to place your back against the wall and your feet further forwards so that when you slide down your wall into a wall squat, you're aiming for, this just depends on how your knees feel, to end up with your thighs horizontal to the floor. So that's not quite horizontal, but if that's where you are for now, that's fine. But you're going to aim to sink into your hips and find a parallel position, thighs parallel to the floor. Everything else is against a wall, and you'll feel some heat building up in your thighs. So this is a really great way to start building more strength in your thighs with a wall squat. Okay, and you're going to stand up. Take a second, we're going to go into it again. Okay, it's a little easier on a mirror because I can slide, but on a wall you might not be able to slide that easily, so just do your best. You've got parallel feet for now, straight feet, slide down the wall, get to, if you can, the position where your thighs are parallel to the floor and you're pressing your tail into the wall, you're pressing your mid, upper back and shoulders into the wall, and if you can, if your head comfortably gets to the wall, if it doesn't, go and watch my neck and shoulders video to help fix the position of your head. And then if you can, push, slide, just make your way up. And then we're going to do one more and I'm going to add on this time. So try and slide down the wall again. And you will feel that little bit of heat and you make sure you're really pressing into your heels. Now you've got to make sure your feet are far forwards enough for this bit. You're going to take this whole unit, tailbone to head, and tip it forwards, come away from the wall, and you'll feel a little extra load here. Your tailbone has to stay against the wall, otherwise you'll fall over, and then get back onto the wall. The whole unit, head to tail, tip it forwards. Don't cheat by dunking your head forwards. Let your head follow the line of your spine. Get back to the wall. One more time, tip everything forwards. This is your hinge. And back to the wall. And then stand up. Well done. Okay, that might have got those legs fired up a little bit. So I want you, we've got to come away from the wall now to do a proper squat. But I want you to almost think about what was happening there, right there and then with the wall. So you're going to take your towel, place it on the floor. And let's do this without weights and then we can go to some weights. And you're going to stand on the towel with your heels, please. Stand on the towel with your heels. Now, for a good squat, just a really standard squat position, your feet are about hip distance apart and a little bit turned out. Let me actually face this way, okay? So, slightly turned out feet, hip distance apart. Okay, so we're going to go to those hips. And you're going to press your bum to the wall, just like you did. And your head followed your tailbone. And then you're going to push into your heels and stand up. Now, you might not need this towel. I'm going to turn this way. Because if your ankles are really good at that dorsiflexion that I mentioned, you might not need the towel. So how can you find that lovely deep squat? Push into your heels and stand up. Think bum to the wall. and you've tipped your torso forwards away from the wall with your head on top of your tailbone, and stand up. Lovely. And again, so now can we find a bit more depth, a bit more range of motion? How deep can you go into your hips and stand up? And you should start to feel those legs working. Inhale down and exhale up. Okay, so now we're going to maybe take some weights, and you're going to hold 1 or 2 weights on your chest. So now we're adding in the load that we talked about. And we go, find that same position, deep into your hips, as if your bum is against the wall and you've tipped your torso away from the wall. So that we're not upright anymore, like we did in that initial wall squat, but we did the second part where we've just taken your whole torso in 1 unit away from the wall. So you get really good at these squats, and then you can hold heavier weights. So if you feel like you're up for it, hold on to those 2 weights, keep them on your chest. Okay, let's do a couple more together. And if you need to, you can come off that towel because you might not need it. If your ankles do a really good job, you might not need it. 2 more. Aim to find depth and range of motion. Last 1. So the more you practice these squats and the better you get at them, well done, weights down, the heavier you can eventually start to go. So let's look at some lunges next. And you're going to grab your chair, and ideally no arms on the chair because they will get in the way. So you're going to have a seat on the edge of your chair. And so I've got my left foot forwards, right leg is going to go, bend your knee, your foot is behind you. So here's the thing, your knee needs to be right under your hip. Not here, that's too far, and not here, that's too near. Right under your hip, so that you are upright, head over shoulders, over your pelvis. We won't use weights yet. You are just sitting on the edge of this chair. You should already feel some work here. And so the idea is that we stand up. Now mostly push into your front foot. Stand up, slowly come down, bending your back knee forwards. And then push into your front leg. Try not to push too much into your back leg. It's there for some balance. And to be fair, so is this chair. So if you need to hold on to the side of your chair, you can. Because this does require some balance. And I want you to notice this distance. How far away are your feet? That is a good lunge position. Okay, so it's always knee under pelvis. Push into your heel to stand up. Slowly lower. You don't even need weights to feel this. And come up, but we're going to use them once we've finished here. And down. Okay, so let's switch sides. So sit on the edge of the chair and organize your back leg. You tuck your toes so that your knee looks like it's under your hip. If you're not sure, look down, and you shouldn't really be able to see your knee. That's too far back. You don't want to feel the stretch here. It's right underneath you. You need to be as upright as possible so you learn to carry your body weight. Stand in your front heel and you push. Remember, you can hold the chair. That's why it's here. And when you sit down, try not to dump your weight down like, oh, I did it. Stay connected because you've just got to get straight back up. Go into the next one and come down. Just sort of tap the chair. Don't relax. Don't switch off. Make sure that you come up by pushing into your front heel. And the slower you go, it's actually harder, but you're also more in control and you can feel what's sort of moving out of place. Shoulders over hips, hip over knee. Okay, so let's now try this without the chair. And if you want to, you pick up some weights. What was your stance? Go back to the first leg. How long was it? How long was your stance? So that when you bend your knee is under that hip. Your knee is under, the back knee is under your hip. Inhale down, exhale up. And you should only bend your knees as far as your knees feel comfortable. Shouldn't cause pain. So maybe you need to just stop here and really focus on pushing into your front heel. I still feel the work. Of course, this is more challenging going deeper, but you've just got to make sure that you don't feel any pain in your knee, bit of discomfort maybe, bit of, oh my gosh, this is hard, my muscles are working. Yeah, that's what it should feel like. Let's do 2 more. Slowly down, push into your heel and up. Last one. Get good at these lunges. They will keep your legs strong. You want to be able to keep climbing stairs. You want to be able to get up and down from the floor with ease. You might want to be able to play with kids or grandkids on the floor and get back up. You want to be able to carry your luggage when you go on holiday. Good. You want to be able to stand upright for as long as you can. 80s, 90s. So you've got that long stance. And as you bend your back knee, that knee goes under that hip. Inhale down, exhale up. Get good at these. And then go to heavier weights as long as your form is good. And you can always just use the chair. Keep coming back to the chair. Well done. Okay, squats, lunges, now deadlifts. Okay, so we need to go back to that hip hinge. Now what I find can help with your hip hinge doing the standing is going back to your towel and stepping on with your toes this time, not your heels. Toes on, no weights yet. So we start with soft knees, and then just like you did with your squat, get your bum to the wall. But we're not going to bend your knees any more than this, and that whole unit is going to tip forwards and down. So you look pretty flat, like a tabletop. Your arms will be hopefully past your knees, and then I need you to put your weight into your heels and feel like the back of your legs, from bum to the back of your knees, lifts you up, because it's for your hamstrings. And you'll be lengthening your spine, and your back is going to get stronger because you've got to hold this flat back position against your weights dangling down from your hands, which we haven't picked up yet. Now you might feel a bit of a calf stretch standing like this with your toes on the towel. That's okay. You might feel a hamstring stretch. We want to feel the length in your hamstrings. So tip forwards from your hips. This is your hinge. We practiced this earlier. Feel length in the back of your legs. Exhale, push into your heels and stand up. So if you're still not sure, carry on without weights. But if you want to give it a go, pick up weights. And you start with that soft knee position. Knees don't bend any more than this. You get your bum behind you to that wall where you practiced earlier. Lovely flat back, and you've carried your head on top of your spine. And then your whole unit comes straight back up. And if we want to breathe, we go inhale down. Exhale, really stand in your heels. Your heels will help you have a conversation with your bum and the top of your hamstrings. Lengthen your hamstrings. And then push into your heels and feel how they contract to lift you. So maybe you could imagine an elastic band attached from the crease under your bum to the back of your knees. And on the way down, that elastic band is lengthening. You're stretching it. And on the way up, that elastic band is contracting, and that's what's lifting you. Keep your arms on your back. Don't let your arms hang. Otherwise, you're going to round your back. And we're trying to keep that flat back. Now we're going to stay down. And just to make this more juicy, you're going to come up to your knees, go down to your ankles. Can you keep your form up to your knees, down to your ankles, up to your knees? Well done. Draw your belly in, up to your knees. As long as you keep your form and your weight in your heels, this is good. One more. And all the way up. And then step off that towel, put your weights down. Amazing. So I hope that really helps to show you how to do squats, lunges and deadlifts safely and with good form. Try heavier weights next time. And if you enjoyed that, like I said in the beginning, why don't you request to download my free 10-minute Pilates-informed upper body workout? I think you're going to love it. See you next time.